What if the people you raised, the ones you held through scraped knees and heartbreaks, the ones you gave everything to, turned around one day and tried to take the very ground beneath your feet? Not out of desperation. Not out of love. But entitlement, masked as gratitude. This is the story of a woman who turned 61 expecting a quiet birthday dinner, and instead found herself blindsided by a betrayal so calculated, it nearly cost her the home she built with her late husband and the legacy she thought she'd be passing down on her own terms. It began with a toast. A candlelit restaurant. Smiles. A baby announcement. A toast to the best grandma ever. But under the surface, something was off. Her only child, her son, and his wife had already decided her home was no longer hers. They had recorded it, celebrated it online, and declared it to the world before she even had a chance to understand what was happening. By the time dessert was served, her apartment, her sanctuary of 32 years, had been claimed, repurposed, redecorated, and practically sold out from under her. All without her consent. They called it love. She saw it for what it was, a takeover. And so began a psychological war waged not with fists or shouting matches, but with fake sonograms, silent envelopes, passive-aggressive threats, and a carefully constructed narrative that painted her, the mother, as the villain. This isn't just a story of stolen property. It's about emotional theft. About how easy it is for someone to weaponize family ties when inheritance, housing, and control are on the line. It's about the quiet, cruel ways manipulation disguises itself as tradition and how even those closest to us, our children, can become strangers with agendas. But it's also about something else. Resistance. This mother may have panicked at first. She may have frozen at that dinner table. But what followed was nothing short of a masterclass in reclaiming power. So if you've ever wondered how far someone would go to take what's yours, or how far you're willing to go to protect it, this story is for you. Because sometimes silence isn't surrender. Sometimes, it's the first step toward justice. Mary had always kept her expectations low when it came to birthdays. After losing her husband 5 years ago, she found comfort in the simplicity of familiar routines. So when her son Daniel and his wife Ashley suggested dinner to celebrate her 61st, she imagined a quiet evening, a table with close friends, a warm meal, maybe a toast with good wine. But what she got was a performance. And she was the unwitting centerpiece. The restaurant was one of those stylish places Ashley adored, dim lighting, reclaimed wood tables, and menus with no dollar signs. Mary had barely taken her seat before Ashley, radiant with feigned excitement, handed her a gift bag. Tissue paper puffed out like a peacock's tail. Inside was a baby onesie that read, "Best Grandma Ever." "We thought it was time," Ashley said, blinking wide eyes, her voice a sugary melody of delight. "To start planning the nursery." "Right, Daniel?" Daniel nodded, too calm, too prepared. "Yeah, especially since we'll have more space soon." Mary blinked. "More space?" Ashley leaned across the table, her tone dripping with gratitude. "We're just so grateful you agreed, Mary. Not every mom would be this generous." That was the moment the air shifted. Something inside Mary's chest stiffened. She frowned. Agreed to what? But before she could speak, Daniel stood and tapped his wine glass. "Before we eat," he announced, "I just want to thank everyone for being here. Please remember to like and subscribe." He grinned toward Ashley's phone, now recording, "and let's raise a glass to the woman who made this all possible. My incredible mom." Ashley panned her camera toward Mary, capturing her stillness. "We're moving into Mom's apartment," Daniel declared. "It just makes sense. She doesn't need all that space anymore, and we're starting a family. It's such a gift, honestly." Applause. Glasses clinked. Forks poised in midair. All eyes turned to Mary. She nodded, not because she agreed, but because she panicked. Her mind went blank. Her body stiffened. She forced a smile and took a sip of wine. The room shifted again, but the foundation beneath her had already cracked. As the conversation resumed, Ashley launched into decorating plans. Paint swatches. Crib placements. Removing those old lady curtains. She laughed and added, "Of course, we'll let you visit. You can keep your plants on the balcony if you want." Daniel chimed in. "We'll give you time to move. No pressure." They hadn't even asked. They had decided. Declared. Publicly announced, before she'd even been told. Her home, the one she had shared with her late husband for 30 years, repaired with her own hands, mourned and loved in, was now being treated like a starter nursery. She excused herself before dessert. Daniel looked disappointed, whispered something to Ashley. Ashley offered to call her a ride. Mary declined. She walked 3 blocks in heels that punished every step, her thoughts screaming so loud they drowned out the city noise. By the time she returned home, the place felt foreign. Unsafe. Not hers. She locked the door. Checked it again. Then again. She sat at the kitchen table, frozen. Ashley's voice echoed, "You can keep your plants." Daniel's echoed louder, "She doesn't need the space." Photos of her husband looked back at her from the bookshelf. But instead of comforting her, they now felt like warnings. In a desperate search for clarity, Mary pulled open the old drawer where she kept legal documents from her husband's estate. Wills. Insurance. Old utility bills. That's when she saw it, a power of attorney form from 2 years prior, signed when she was hospitalized with pneumonia. Daniel's name was on it. Her stomach twisted. At midnight, she texted her lawyer, "Is this still valid?" The response came early the next morning. "If you didn't revoke it, yes. We need to talk." That was when it clicked. Daniel hadn't been asking. He'd been executing. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't excitement. It was a plan. She hadn't said yes. Not with words. Not with nods. But she'd allowed the charade to play out, and now, it was going viral. That morning, Ashley had already posted a reel. A soft pen across Mary's living room set to acoustic guitar, captioned, "The beginning of our next chapter. Saying goodbye to Grandma's place and hello to our new home." Her couch. Her bookshelf. Her curtains. 37 comments. So sweet of her to pass it down. She must be so proud. She hadn't responded to the dinner yet. But they had. And then came Daniel's email, a transition plan. Items to move. Dates for the handover. A Pinterest board titled, "Neutral Nursery Aesthetic." Photos of her bedroom stripped down to a crib and rocking chair. She texted Daniel one sentence. "We need to talk." Not through announcements or Pinterest boards. His reply came 4 hours later. Thumbs up. That was when she realized she was no longer his mother. She was his obstacle. 3 days after that nightmare dinner, a manila envelope slid under Mary's door. She didn't hear a knock. No doorbell. Just the soft rasp of betrayal settling onto her tile floor. Wrapped in her towel, hair still damp from the shower, she unfolded the papers with trembling hands. Preliminary transfer agreement, residential property. There it was. Her name typed neatly above a blank signature line. Below it, Daniel and Ashley's names, already signed. The note was typed, impersonal, Daniel's voice, but clearly not his writing. No rush. Just need this signed before Friday to move forward with bank approvals. Thanks again, Mom. Bank approvals. That meant they were already using her apartment, her home, as leverage. Heart pounding, Mary texted her lawyer. The call came back in minutes. "Do not sign that," the lawyer said. "He's moving forward under the assumption this is already his. If you sign, it's over." Don't leave it on the counter. Don't even leave it unattended. Shred it. Mary stared at the paperwork, hands shaking, as something heavy settled into her chest. They weren't waiting for her consent. They were fabricating it. Later that night, determined to understand just how deep the deception went, Mary pulled out her filing cabinet again. She sifted through folders until she found what she was looking for: old hospital discharge paperwork from her pneumonia stay 2 years earlier. There it was, hidden among standard insurance forms, a healthcare directive and a limited financial proxy naming Daniel as her representative in case of mental incapacity. She remembered now how he'd handed her the papers at the hospital, urging her to just sign so I can help with the insurance. She hadn't questioned it. She was exhausted. Hooked up to and for. She just wanted to be left alone. Her lawyer confirmed her worst fear. If they found even one doctor to say she was forgetful or confused, Daniel could attempt to challenge her competency. He could freeze her assets. Push for guardianship. Take the home, legally. And Ashley was already helping him build the case, not in courtrooms, but online. They'd posted videos. Narratives. Even a staged real estate walkthrough filmed in her living room. Daniel's voice layered over stock music, talking about legacy and honoring Grandma's sacrifice. They were rewriting the truth before her eyes. And she had let them. But not anymore. That night, she froze her credit. Secured her accounts. Revoked Daniel's power of attorney. Removed him from emergency contacts. She began keeping records. Screenshots. Emails. Texts. She stopped responding, but she saved everything. She called the building manager. Asked who had accessed the gate recently. Daniel used your spare key, he said. Said he was checking on you. She hadn't asked him to. She hadn't even known he still had a spare. Can I change the locks? She asked. Yes, he replied, but it needs to be a formal request. So she filed it. That very day. She moved her legal documents to a locked metal box and slid it under her bed. She stopped drinking wine with dinner. Stopped taking sleep aids. She needed her mind sharp. She started journaling every interaction. Even fake grocery lists, just to timestamp her handwriting. It wasn't paranoia. It was protection. 2 days later, Ashley arrived unannounced, all sweetness and saccharine smiles, holding a white gift bag and a plastic cup with Mary's name misspelled in marker. Hi. Just thought I'd check on you, she chirped. And I brought your favorite, hazelnut cream, extra ice. Mary didn't move. Ashley offered her vitamins. Prenatals, she whispered, hand to stomach. We're hoping. Mary blinked. You're pregnant? Ashley placed her hand on her belly, overly dramatic. We weren't going to say anything yet, but after the dinner, it felt right. But Mary knew better. Ashley wasn't pregnant. Her eyes were too alert. Her appetite too casual. She opened the fridge and downed a sparkling water, without checking the label. She began walking through the apartment like it already belonged to her. This bookshelf, she said, trailing her fingers across it, we can donate it, right? A little outdated. Mary's breath caught. Her husband had built that bookshelf 31 years ago. Ashley kept going, peeking into closets, judging furniture, planning the nursery. In that moment, Mary stopped feeling fear. She started feeling clarity. When did your doctor confirm the pregnancy? She asked. Ashley blinked, caught. It's early. Too early for tests. I just know. Mary didn't push. Instead, she watched. Waited. Noticed. Ashley's purse sat open on the kitchen counter. When Ashley stepped into the bathroom, Mary peeked. Inside the bag. A manila folder with her apartment's floor plans, labeled with future furniture. A printed Zillow estimate of its market value. They weren't just moving in. They were flipping it. Maybe to sell. Maybe to leverage. But not to live. That night, Mary didn't cry. She didn't yell. She cooked frozen pasta, poured Ashley stale wine, and smiled like everything was fine. And when Ashley left, still gushing about color palettes and crib names, Mary opened her phone and created a new folder. Proof. Because this wasn't family. This was fraud. The next morning, Mary didn't cry. She didn't stew in grief. She called Iris. Iris was a longtime friend, retired real estate agent, twice divorced, the kind of woman who trimmed roses with the same precision she once closed deals. When Mary explained everything, from the dinner to the staged videos and the fake sonogram, Iris didn't hesitate. "You need to get out before they realize you're not playing along," she said. "We'll sell it quietly. Word of mouth. No listings. No signs. No photos online. Just serious buyers with cash." Mary agreed. She didn't care if she got less money. She cared about getting away clean. Over the next 3 days, Mary played a role. She liked Ashley's nursery updates on Instagram. Replied to Daniel's texts with cheerful emojis. Posted a photo of her dinner, meatloaf and mashed potatoes, with a caption. "Nothing beats home cooking." All while she quietly orchestrated her escape. Iris found her a 2-bedroom cabin across state lines, nestled by a lake in a retirement town where no one knew Daniel, no one cared about Ashley's Pinterest boards. The kitchen was outdated. The patio cracked. Mary didn't care. It was hers. She wired the money. No mortgage. No traceable loans. No time for interference. She hired Frank, a church friend with a pickup, to help pack the things she would take, her husband's tools, the heirloom dishes, photo albums from the attic. They loaded them while Daniel thought she was watching reruns and sipping wine. She changed her emergency contact to Iris. Redirected her mail to a new P.O. box. Scheduled the electricity shutoff for a fake recovery trip, just in case anyone asks. And she made sure the building super understood, no one was allowed in without her consent. She was disappearing. Strategically. Legally. Then came the escalation. Ashley posted a new video, her sitting on Mary's couch, talking about bringing warmth into the space. The caption. "Soon to be ours, but forever Grandma's legacy." 2,000 views in a day. Mary didn't cry. She took a screenshot. Saved it to the folder. And then, one final seed, she placed an empty suitcase in the hallway, visible just enough for Ashley to see when she next let herself in. Let them think she was packing for a short trip. Let them believe they still had time. They didn't. That Tuesday, just after confirming the sale would close in 72 hours, Mary heard a knock at the door. Sharp. Insistent. She didn't answer. "Mom," Daniel called. "Open the door." She stood silently in the hallway, listening. The key jiggled. Failed. Mary had changed the locks 2 days prior. Daniel knocked again, louder. "Look, Ashley's freaking out. We know about the realtor. You're selling the place? Are you serious?" Then, quieter. "If you don't open this door and talk like an adult, I swear to God, I'll do what I have to do, legally." He left. But not before shoving an envelope through the door. Inside. Formal request for transitional occupancy review. Highlighted section, pending potential medical guardianship claim. Mary called her lawyer immediately. "They're escalating," the lawyer said. "They'll try to argue incompetency now. But you've outmaneuvered them, just don't speak to them, and don't give them a single new text or word they can use." So Mary went further. She recorded herself reading a summary of her recent financial decisions, clear and calm. She emailed it with timestamps, attached screenshots, transactions, legal documents. Every move had a paper trail. Because when someone calls you forgetful, they stop listening to what you remember. 2 days later, Ashley returned. She didn't knock. She yelled from the hallway loud enough for the neighbors to peek out. "We're trying to grow our family and you're being cruel. You said we could live here." She was filming herself. Red recording light blinking. Mary opened the door just enough to be seen on camera and said one word. "Leave." Ashley posted it that night. When family betrays you. A pregnancy without a home. Over 4,000 likes. Boomer hoarder. She doesn't deserve grandkids. I hope she rots. Mary screenshotted every comment. Sent them to her lawyer. The next day, Daniel emailed her a PDF. Transfer of deed agreement. Signed by Ashley. Signed by him. Her name was left blank. He included a message. "If you want to avoid court, sign and we'll forget all of this." She didn't open it. She forwarded it. Then she texted back. "You'll be served within the week. Do not contact me again." Then she turned off her phone. By nightfall, her keys were ready, her bags packed. She left behind a single note for the new owners. "Everything here is yours now, except the silence. I'm taking that with me." At 4:35 a.m., Mary rolled her suitcase across the pavement outside the apartment she called home for 32 years. She didn't look back. Iris met Mary 2 towns over with 2 things, a cup of hot coffee and a smile that said, "You did it." The cabin stood 4 hours away, tucked along a lake, wrapped in trees and silence. Mary didn't unpack. Not right away. She just stood in the kitchen, breathing for the first time in what felt like months. She turned on her phone 3 days later. 37 missed calls. 19 voicemails. 60+ text messages. Most from Daniel. Some from Ashley. A few from numbers she didn't recognize. But it was the group messages that stung the most. Screenshots from family group chats. Daniel had messaged relatives, claiming Mary had abandoned them. Ashley had shared the crying video. They told everyone she sold the home out from under them right before the baby was due. People took sides. Some pitied her. Some called her cruel. Even her own sister wrote, "You've changed. I hope you come to your senses." But in the flood of disappointment, one light broke through. Melissa, Mary's niece, the one who had never trusted Ashley, texted her privately. "Aunt Mary, I don't buy any of this. Are you okay?" Mary replied, "Yes. Safe. And done." Melissa sent a heart emoji and said, "Call me if you ever need backup." Mary didn't cry. But she felt something warm bloom in her chest. Quiet loyalty. The kind that doesn't need an audience. A few days later, her lawyer confirmed it. The sale had closed. The money had transferred. Daniel and Ashley were not, and would never be, entitled to a cent. She asked about the guardianship threats. "They won't risk filing now," the lawyer said. "The paper trail you built is unbreakable. But update your will immediately." Mary already had. Her assets, every cent, every stone, every silver spoon, had been transferred to a newly established trust. The Quiet Exit Fund. Created in her husband's name, its mission was simple. Support older women escaping financial or emotional abuse by their families. No fallback clause. No vague re-entry for Daniel and Ashley. No loopholes. They weren't just excluded. They were legally barred from contesting it. 2 days later, Melissa called. I think Daniel knows, she said, chuckling. He's been posting those passive-aggressive quote graphics again. Betrayal always comes from those closest to you. Mary laughed for the first time in weeks. Let him quote, she said. They lost the right to my name when they tried to steal it. A week after that, a letter arrived from the charities board. The Quiet Exit Fund was officially live. The first deposit, Mary's, had already been allocated. She read the confirmation twice, then tucked the paper into the drawer beside her tea bags. That night, she poured a sparkling water, stepped out onto her porch, and scrolled through pictures of the apartment. A young couple had moved in. They weren't influencers. They weren't decorators. Just two people sitting on her couch, now their couch, laughing, surrounded by boxes and pizza. No captions. No filters. Just real life. And on the bookshelf her husband had built, they'd placed plants. Not candles. Not vases. Just greenery and life. It felt like closure. Later that night, her phone buzzed again. A message from Daniel's old college roommate. Saw what they did. You were right to cut them off. Wish my mom had done the same before my sister drained her dry. Mary responded with one word. Thanks. Because it was never just about protecting herself. It was about naming something too many endure in silence. About saying, this is real. This happens. And it's not okay. And then came the final attempt. A slim white box arrived, no return address, wrapped in tissue and ribbon. Inside, a framed sonogram photo. A card. Can we start over? A&D. The image looked real, at first. But Mary had seen it before. Ashley had used it months ago on a Pinterest board as a placeholder. It was a stock photo. A fake pregnancy. Framed. Mailed. Manipulation wrapped in a bow. 2 days later, an email arrived. Subject, dinner. Message. We'll be in your area this weekend. Let's just talk. No pressure. Just family. That Saturday, their silver SUV appeared on the gravel drive. Ashley in heels. Daniel in his old blazer. A bottle of wine in hand. They knocked. Called her name. Pleaded. You're shutting out your grandchild, Ashley cried. Is that what you want? Mary didn't reply. They stood outside for 22 minutes. Then they left the bottle on the step. The label. Forgiveness, Pinot Noir. She poured it down the drain. Later that night, Daniel sent one final message. You win. Hope it was worth losing your family. She didn't reply. She screenshotted it. Filed it under proof. Then deleted his contact. Forever. The next morning, Mary had coffee with Claire, her neighbor across the gravel road, a former nurse who'd left a 40-year marriage and now ran a tiny soap business from her garage. Claire laughed when Mary told her about the fake sonogram. People get bold when money's involved, she said, shaking her head. But you didn't give them what they wanted. That makes you dangerous now. Mary nodded. Dangerous felt new. But it felt right. That week, she planted thyme and mint in the new garden bed. She joined the local co-op. She volunteered at the community center's food pantry on Tuesdays. Every Thursday, she played chess with Claire, who insisted Mary had a killer instinct hiding under all that Midwestern politeness. Her days were different now. And that was the point. She cooked again. She laughed out loud. She slept without clutching her phone like a weapon. And on the eve of her 62nd birthday, a letter arrived from Melissa. Inside was a photo of a newborn girl, eyes barely open, wrapped in a yellow blanket. A note. If she grows up to be half as strong as you, I'll have done something right. Mary pinned it to the fridge with a sunflower magnet and cried the kind of tears that didn't sting, the kind that rinsed the last of something away. That evening, she wrote a check to a local shelter for women escaping family control. Signed it. Sealed it. Wrote on the envelope, "Use it well." She got out. Just before sunset, the wind stirred the pine trees outside the cabin. The wind chimes clinked. Mary stood on the porch barefoot, cradling a mug of mint tea grown from her own hands. The phone buzzed again, an unknown number. She didn't flinch. Didn't even look. She powered it off. Slid it in a drawer. Left it there. Because this life, this cabin, this stillness, this silence, was finally hers. And for the first time in decades, that silence didn't feel like abandonment. It didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. Permanent. Final. Exactly how she wanted it. What would you do if you were in Mary's shoes? Have you or someone you know experienced something similar, where family blurred the line between love and manipulation? Tell us in the comments. Your story might be the one someone else needs to hear. And if you've ever been forced to choose between your peace and someone else's entitlement, just know. You're not alone. You're not heartless. And you're not wrong for choosing yourself. What story should we explore next? Let us know below.